reproduces itself. Seeds, animals would reproduce. It just never occurred to me that that was a built-in plan.
That he
in
had,
man and woman.
yeah, that he had all that figured out. Yeah.
So why are we spending all that money on seed corn every year?
Well, because they want bigger and better crops and more crops. We can't leave good enough alone sometimes.
No.
You know, we can't be satisfied with creation. We have to make robots that are human-like.
Yeah.
You know.
But there's a repository for all the seeds. I can't remember where it is, but it's kind of under lock and key and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a spot I think Jeanette, do you remember where that is? But they have all the seeds to keep the genetic, so if something happens.
Yeah, is that in Norway or somewhere?
I can't think where it is, and that irritates me. I don't know where, but I know there's, and it's kept at a certain temperature. It has to be kept that way to keep the stuff viable, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, in case we need to play God someday.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
What
we
else?
still
What else we
want
have
to
here?
get this in.
Exactly. We all fall short.
You know, how sometimes you kind of just sit and really try to think about how he did this. You know, did he just kind of snap his fingers? Did he- I think it was kind of interesting how the spirit was flowing around the form, you know. It's almost, you know, I know they're different, they're separate, but they're one. It's almost like the spirit's the one that's doing the, you know.
In mine, it says a mighty wind that swept, but under the key it says and/or the Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine says the Spirit of God was hovering over its surface.
Because the Hebrew word means either wind or spirit. So that's why we'll have different translations.
So it almost feels like, you know, what he's speaking, the spirit's doing for him.
And the thing we have to remember is God doesn't function like a relay team. You know, it wasn't that the Father created the earth and then Jesus died for us and saved us and the Spirit took over. As we go through Scripture, we'll see that all three of them are always in every action. Just like in creation, all three of them are there. And even in the crucifixion and the resurrection, we'll see that all three of them are there. I think one of the worst things I ever heard was, how could the Father be so awful to crucify his Son? It's like, that's not what happened. God loved each of us so much, he gave up his Son. And Jesus made the decision for himself. What did he say when he was praying? He said, Father, take this away from me. I can't do it. But then he said, your will be done. So they were all interacting at every point throughout the Bible. That's the cool thing we'll see. What else popped out here? To Damien's point, how did he create the earth? Why did he do it in all these steps? Because he could have gone like that. He could have just snapped his fingers and everything would have been in place. So why did he take all this time? 7 whole days, you know.
Okay, my question is,
Yeah.
were those 7 days and 24 hours, or were they 7 days in another form?
That we don't know.
Okay.
That we don't know.
That's just always bothered
We
me.
could say it's a 24-hour period. We could say it was another period of time. We don't know. All we know is that God created it in an orderly fashion.
And perhaps he was very meticulous. He wanted everything to be step by step by step and be perfect.
You could probably give the quote where the Bible says, a day is like 1,000 years, and
Oh, sure, yeah, yeah.
1,000 years is a day.
I think he wanted to make sure that we knew that he created everything, that he was the creator. So he mentioned everything so that we would know. It wasn't just a blanket statement, it was everything.
In order. Because as we read through here, you see, he put everything first that had to be first.
Mhm.
Because it would make no sense to put vegetation down unless there was sunlight.
Or dirt.
Water. Or dirt, yeah, or dirt even, yeah.
Or fish if there was no water.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. He
Mhm.
created everything in order, exactly like it needed to be.
Right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Perfect.
It made sense.
It,
Yeah.
It was
makes
good.
sense.
Yeah, it was good.
And
It was
yeah,
good.
You can even put that in there. And God saw it made sense. You can put that in there.
The key word again and again is God said. He just didn't think it, like you say, snap
Right.
his fingers, it was said.
Yeah. God said it was good.
You know, I almost believe it was 7 days that we have now, because, for one, it was day, it was night.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm not, and
Didn't
this
think
isn't
about that.
evolution. This
Yeah.
is creation,
Right.
not evolution.
Right.
It didn't evolve from, to me, it didn't evolve from, like you said, you know, a day's 1,000 years.
What it says.
It
It
didn't
was
evolve at
what
all.
it
It
was.
wasn't, and then it was.
There was no evolution.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that Big Bang Theory because I really think that could be
Oh, no.
true.
Honestly.
Honestly, yeah.
Think about it. Everything came from this single dust particle and everything happening at just the right moment and just everything. But what created that dust particle?
Exactly. That's what I told my confirmation kids. I said, if you ever get a science teacher that talks about the Big Bang Theory and how that's how the world was created, you ask him, okay, what created the thing that blew up?
Started somewhere.
Yeah, it started somewhere. So even if you're going to believe in the Big Bang Theory, something had to create that thing that exploded. Like that. Right? So if God did create the world like that, he still created the world. If he created the gases that caused the Big Bang, then he created that. They say it takes more faith to believe in evolution than it does the Bible.
The Bible makes sense.
Because the Bible makes sense. Everything's in order. He explains how it happened. Big Bang Theory, okay, so something explodes, and then you got this thing that starts in a swamp, and then it comes out of the water
What
and
made it come
sprouts
out of the water?
legs.
Didn't
And
one of the confirmation kids say, if we evolved from apes, why aren't we still?
Why do we still have monkeys?
Yeah. We
Yeah,
should have,
right.
yeah, they should keep evolving.
I love my confirmation kids.
Yeah, they're smart.
Because of the stuff that they come up
Mhm.
with. Another thing, let's look at verse 9. Jeanette, could you read verse 9 for us?
Verse 9. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so.
All right.
God,
so-
oh, okay.
Yeah, just verse 9. Okay, so all the water was gathered into one place.
Pangea.
Exactly. Another
What?
thing for the confirmation
Pangea.
kids. Pangea. The scientists believe that at one time, all of Earth was in one spot. We didn't have continents.
Through tectonic plates shifting.
Says
and
so in
moving.
the Bible.
And they
You
still
know?
kind of would fit together
pretty
if you
smart.
try, some of the places would fit
Yeah,
together.
it's kind of like a
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. So even science is proving the Bible to be true. Another reason why I love the confirmation kids is they they know things that I've already forgotten, like Pangea. So thank you, because I would never
always
know that word.
Seems to me that science, I mean, I'm amazed with science, but it always runs into a roadblock
Yeah.
Mhm.
where there's not, they can't answer
Right.
further and further, it
Yeah.
seems to me.
Yeah.
But when I had heard that as far as be descending from apes goes, we share no DNA with them.
Correct. And how come if we evolved from this protozoa, how come they can't find all these skeletons that show this evolution?
There's that missing gap.
Yeah, right, that wall that Dean was talking about. Or that chasm that science just falls into and says, we can't prove it. They just write, and a miracle happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, and a miracle happened.
I think I've read where all the supposed discoveries have been proved to be phony and false and made up.
Yeah. Charles Darwin, he didn't believe in evolution. He wrote it, and they just keep teaching it because some people can't believe in God.
What I found interesting on how the Bible proves, or science proves the Bible,
Yeah.
NASA was studying stars and time and space, and they found a missing approximately 24-hour chunk of time just missing. They couldn't figure it out, and some guy was like, hello.
Yeah.
There's 15 minutes here, and then there's another 45 minutes here, or there's a whole day here.
Yeah. It's just
Down
crazy.
to the exact.
They've discovered that the universe is expanding, so it had to have a starting point.
Mhm.
It's getting larger and larger.
Yeah. It had to start somewhere with somebody. Now we know, we see it. Anything else that pop out at you guys?
So then the light was actually creating the sun,
Good point, let's take a look at that,
like verse 3, I think.
okay?
And God said, let there be light, and there was light. God said that the light was good. And he separated the light from the darkness.
Yeah, it could, does anybody have anything different in verse 3? Does everybody have light?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think what happened is, here we're just saying, let there be light, and in effect, God created the sun,
Okay.
okay?
Well, that's why I assume that's what it meant,
Okay.
but perhaps one shouldn't assume.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
yeah.
pretty interesting, because it says first day is light, but the fourth day, he created sun, moon.
Yeah, verse
stars.
16.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at, verse
But isn't
16.
Isn't
God
he the
made-
light?
God made two great lights.
Could, well,
The greater
but
light?
let's not go too deep there, because remember, Jesus is the light, but Jesus was never created. Jesus always existed also.
Right.
So this light, we should probably dive a little bit deeper into that and see exactly what that is, if the sun wasn't created until verse 16. Let's see.
But in all honesty,
Yeah,
he doesn't have to have the sun, he can do whatever, he can make the light. He's God. I'm not sure how he.
God made two great
or-
lights.
It's above our comprehension,
could
and
be.
we just have to live with it.
Eventually, in the God part, you just get to the point where you have to have faith.
Yeah.
Like, the Trinity would be the biggest faith event, for me, anyway.
Well, mine is a study Bible, and it says days of forming is verse 3, light, and days of filling, verse 14, lights. So it breaks it down a little more, where one was forming and the other was filling.
Okay.
Don't understand what it meant, but it's in my study Bible on the bottom. What's that mean, hon?
We're gonna have to dive a little deeper into there.
Well, the spirit was over the earth. Maybe that's when he said, "Let there be light." The spirit was there. The spirit's light.
Well, if one is.
That's me. That's me.
That's Jim.
That's loud.
Sorry. You didn't turn your phone off.
So if one is filling versus forming, so like filling, I'm looking at him and I can see him
His
through
wrapping.
the filling of the light. But looking at the light bulb, that's form of light.
So the earth was
And
filled
now I can't
with
see.
light. Yeah, you're looking at the light. And then the light God put into its form, which was the sun.
That would be
That's a
like
good one.
in 14,
It's common sense.
when it says,
Sometimes you gotta think that.
"Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night." And then
God made two great lights.
in 16,
Okay, so that makes sense. what Christie's Bible said, filling and form.
Yeah.
So the filling was the light, and then God put it into a form, which was the sun.
Well, then 17 says God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light to the earth.
Okay.
So if the light was somewhere or everywhere,
Uh-huh.
then God put it in a special place, and then it was the sun and the moon.
Yeah. Because the earth was formless. In verse 2, I can believe that.
Yeah.
Sounds like mine says markers. There will be signs to mark off the seasons, the days and the years. So at first it was just light, and then there's a light and dark, and now for us to be able to keep track, I guess.
Yep.
Partly.
Okay.
So that maybe the light went around the earth?
Otherwise, you just have dark, and then it'd be light, and then it'd be dark, and there's,
Yes, with daylight.
you know, now you've
Yeah.
got something that you can see.
Yeah, with
Kinda
the
like a clock.
seasons, yeah, so the light went around the earth.
Right.
He had the sun and the moon do its thing, so
You
it
know,
could.
to mark sacred times and stuff.
Yeah. Because he had it all figured out.
I don't think he had it figured out it would be dark at 5 o'clock.
He's gonna have a hard winter.
That's a creation of man.
It
Because
is.
what
Yeah.
difference does it make?
Right.
It doesn't make any difference.
Right.
No, that's a man
And
thing.
that's why the Amish don't change.
They don't,
It
no.
doesn't make a difference.
Right.
It's interesting that it doesn't mention anything about the rotation of the earth as far as the tilted axis factor either, that makes it so we have longer days and shorter days. And, I mean, kind of touches on it a little bit, but not really anything specific.
Just with the word seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is so finely balanced, you know, if our oxygen content was off a little bit, we'd be gone. If the earth went a little bit faster, you know, it's pre-planned.
And it was good.
Amen.
It was good.
Made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it all, and that's the thing, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have this bracket from verses 11 through 25. God just did everything in an orderly fashion. You know, everything some things had to come first before he could put the other thing down there. All right.
We'd be hard pressed to sit down and just list the days and what happened on each
Yeah, yeah.
unless we looked.
we'd probably be hard pressed even after we've read it to sit down and not look at the Bible and put everything in
Order.
the exact right
Right.
order that it
Mhm.
needed to be done.
Yeah.
I think we'd start with the light and the dark, we'd be okay.
but
Somewhere,
when it
everything
got
was
down to
mushy,
the-
and then we end up with a man and a woman. It's like, oh, okay, we're done, so,
Well,
yeah.
that's where the miracle happens, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, exactly, so, yeah, you're right, we
Yeah.
wouldn't.
So, let's take a look at verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Whose beginning? Because God was always around, right?
The earth's beginning.
No.
The earth's beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The universe is beginning.
How long what happened before God created the heavens and the earth?
Who knows?
Why did he create the heavens and the earth and us?
Oh, this is
For
getting
his
deep.
pleasure.
Well, I know this one, yeah, for his pleasure and his glory.
Even knowing that we would cause him great heartache.
Why do we have kids? We know they're going to cause us great heartache. Right?
I enjoy pain and misery.
Not for Not for
Well, I've seen
tax
Damien take
deduction.
nails and jam into his hand too. Oh, I hate this. Because he loved us. He didn't have to. But as I was reading this for I don't know how many times, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It certainly wasn't his beginning. One time, he just decided, I want to create some new beings.
I
What they
read a
call the
kitty
big-
story once that said he was lonely. Even though he had the Trinity up there, there's one enough for him.
He just wanted something.
He wanted somebody to love him.
Yeah. Could be.
So,
What was your
talking about
thing,
that,
Karen?
in his image, our image.
In
That's
his
kind of a mind
image.
blower.
Right, so, yeah, in his image, what does that mean?
An interactive reality show.
It's, his
In our-
image is,
in our
it's,
image.
it's the image,
Let us make a man in our image.
because they say God's not, from what I got in here, is God's physical, doesn't really have a physical appearance. It's the reflection of God, is what they say.
It comes down to love. I think it's love.
Could be, because we were made in his image.
Yeah, well, in a note, I've got the study
Okay, go ahead.
Bible, it just says,
Yeah.
God created the world, and this is just whoever said this. So God created the world and people as an expression of his love. Remember that God created the universe because he loves each of us.
Yeah, I got something similar down in my notes here. Is it says that he didn't create us exactly like himself because God has no physical body. And instead, we are reflections of his glory.
And we were up until the fall. Because we were created in his image. We were created without sin, but then we messed up.
But he knew that was gonna happen.
We knew it was going to happen. Well, see, God knows all the possibilities.
Right.
Because
We have choices.
Right, because there's some denominations that believe that God predestines everything.
Right.
He's predestined who's going to go to heaven, who's going to go to hell.
That's not fair.
I wouldn't call it that.
And that's not what he says.
Right, right. And the thing is, as we go through our Christian doctrine, we'll be able to pick out where the different denominations get their ideas from. But the thing is, when you read the Bible throughout, you see that some of these denominations are a little off. Like double predestination that I just talked about, where he decided from the beginning of time who goes to heaven, who goes to hell. If that were true, why would he tell us go make disciples?
I just learned that as he knows how you're going to respond.
But he knows all the possibilities.
But I think well, I was told he knows how you're gonna react and whether you're gonna come around or not. He knows that right from the start. Just like he knew what all was gonna happen to Jesus, and he knows everything that's gonna happen, right?
But then we have free will.
Right.
We do have free will, but
We
he
don't
knows
know.
the choices we're gonna make with our free will,
Yeah.
is how I understood it.
And there's different theologies, and one of those is what you've explained, that he knows exactly what we're going to choose, and the other option is he knows all the possibilities that we could choose, and that's where the idea of free will comes in.